Hello, this is Bob Gray Sr. I want to talk to you. This Ministry Moments, by the way. I got the sniffles. You don't mind, do you? I, Everybody seems to have the sniffles nowadays. I got them too. But anyway, uh, welcome to Ministry Moments every Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. I'll come to you. This is not a sermon, it's not preaching. It's just I'm trying to give you ministry moments, some thoughts, some very practical thoughts about the ministry that might be a blessing to you, might help you. And you can always learn. I traveled with Dr. Hiles for 22 years. I was part of the first 4-year class of Hiles Anderson College, and glad to be identified with Dr. Hiles. And but anyway, we'd travel and preach, and he'd go to a church, and I'd watch him. He'd pick something up, throw it in the back of his Bible. And after I got my nerve up, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm collecting ideas, and we'll put it in a book and sell it back to him." And he did. What a brilliant mind he had, and a great blessing. And my pastor, my mentor, my friend. I preached for him. He preached for me. We preached together, and thoroughly enjoyed being with him. What a blessing. Well, today, Ministry Moments, YouTube, Bob Gray Sr. You can go to solvechurchproblems.com. A lot of articles there, a lot of different things that might be of help to you. You can go to your favorite podcast provider and just subscribe to Ministry Moments. And so I hope that you'll take notes and get a pen out. I preach from the house. I get up and say, "Get your pens out, write this down." He'd get up and put your pens up. And after a while, he said, "Look, when Bob Gray's here, get your pens out. When there's a good looking man up here, you get to put your pens up." But anyway, I want to talk to you about time management. Time is 168 hours in the week. Nobody has any more time than you have. The President of the United States of America is the most powerful office in the world for politically for a country. He has no more time than you have, and we've all got the same amount of time. It's how we use it to prioritize it, and then not use it and prioritize the prioritized part of our life that we're just going to fail. If you got 168 hours in a week, you can get things done. And so the difference between a good leader and a great leader is how he salvages and uses time. Time is an event. Time is not seconds or minutes or hours or days. Time is an event. It's not the Sunday school hour, it's a Sunday school event. It's not the Sunday morning preaching hour, it's an event. So everything that you do needs to be looked at as an event. One of the things that made Dr. Jack Hyles such a great preacher and pulpiteer was that Dr. Rice said about him, he had a hook in his sermon. He had a hook in his sermon. So he preached expecting God to do something, expecting people to walk the aisle, go to the altar, make decisions, and so on. And so that's the reason that Dr. Rice liked him, because he had a hook in that. And that it's the same thing. You need to get the most out. It's an event. You got to get the most out of it that you can. All right. So let's talk about time management. Number one, put your life on paper. Put your life on paper. If you're the pastor, the deacon's not going to tell you what to do. Your wife will, but the deacons won't. But you put your life on paper. Schedule 168 hours so that you know. And what I did for the office counseling and so on, I put a little space in there in case an emergency came up or something like that. And one of the things about a schedule, if you blow the whole thing for that day, emergencies happen, car wrecks happen, things that just you didn't expect to happen. Well, bounce right back up, get right back in it the next day. Don't throw your schedule away just because you happen to have a day that didn't go the way that you thought it ought to go. We're talking about time management now. And again, the difference between a good leader and a great leader is this matter of whether you capture the time, whether it is your servant or you're a servant to it. You let that time, that schedule, be your boss. Let that be your boss. But you control that time. Don't let that time control you. All right. Number one, put your life on paper. Number two, let your schedule be your boss. Number three, learn to delegate. You got an hour here. Well, at the same time, if you delegate well, you got somebody doing something you want done the same hour that you're doing what you're doing. I know some great pastors, great men of God, but nobody can work for them. They they can't delegate. And if you can't delegate, you'll stagnate. That's what my good friend, Dr. Russell Anderson said. And yes, he was a good friend and a great man of God. So I'm just saying to you, number one, put your life on paper. I demanded and expected it of our staff every fall to give me your schedule. Why? School starting, college starting, your schedule's going to change. Well, I want to make sure you're spending time with your family. I want to make sure that you've got a balance on your schedule. So I said, give it to me. Let me look at it. Not trying to run their life, but trying to help them. And then when the summer would come, I said, give me your schedule. I want to look at it to see exactly if I can help you. And so I may give you some suggestions and ideas to get the most out of it. And then we had conferences. We had the Soul Winning Clinic for 29 years. And we just great times we had, but it interrupted the schedule that the men and the laborers that we worked together and with had. So I wanted to help them. So, all right. We're talking about time management now. The difference between a good leader and a great leader is how if he manages his time wisely. Time is an event. Don't forget that. Time is an event. Everything you do ought to be an event. There ought to be a purpose to it. I remember one professor at Hyles-Anderson from Green Meadow Bible Baptist Church in Kalamazoo. I can't think of his name now. Arnold Fair. Arnold Fair. I don't even know if Dr. Fair is even alive today. But I remember Dr. Fair told me, he said, the first time I had Jack Hyles come preach for me, he walked in the office. Arnold Fair said, I was sitting there and welcomed, and Brother Hyles, glad you're here. And Brother Hyles had his briefcase. He laid it down. He said, Arnold, what's the purpose of this meeting? What's your theme? What's your purpose? Arnold Fair is telling me that. He said, preach the Bible. Brother Hyles opened up his briefcase, threw his Bible in it, shut it, picked up, started walking to the door. He said, now, Arnold, when you get a purpose for me being here, a reason for me being here, call me and I'll come back. And Arnold, I said, what'd you do? He said, soul winning, soul winning, soul winning. Oh, you got to love it. All right. Talking about time management. Put your life on paper. Number two, let your schedule be your boss. Number three, learn to delegate. Don't be afraid to delegate. Yeah, I can do it better than they can, but you can't do two things at one time. You may be able to, but why don't you help them to become the experts that they become? And I had 100 people that worked for me at one time. I had 7 assistant pastors. We couldn't have done all that we did if it hadn't been for the ability for me to let go of some things and help others to become experts. That way, if somebody came to me about the Christian school, I sent them to Dr. Zen. God bless his memory. I love that man, and sent him. If it had to do with we had a bus kid school. There was only 2 of them in America back in those days. Then I would send them to the superintendent of that, or the principal of the bus kid school, and on we'd go. Bus ministry, I sent them to the bus director, whatever it might be. I had somebody there, and I wanted to build them up by me saying, look, you go to so-and-so can help you. And I could have probably answered, probably could have helped, but I'm trying to build this other staff member. You have to learn to delegate. All right. We're talking about time management now. Number one, put your life on paper. Number two, let your schedule become your boss. I had 33 deacons. They did not boss me. I was the man of God. I led them, and thank God for those good men. Thank God for them. But that schedule of mine became my boss. Nobody told me when to show up to work and what to do and so on. Now, number three, learn to delegate. You've got to learn as you grow to be able to, you may not be able to have paid staff, but you've got volunteers, laymen who love a certain ministry. Help them to become the expert in that ministry, and maybe eventually they become a full-time staff member for that area. I would look for somebody that loved the bus ministry, and I would help them. I would give them Jim Vineyard books and Wally Beebe books and anything and everything I could get to them to help them become an expert in that area. We're talking about time management. Don't forget, the difference between a good leader and a great leader is the management and control of time. Number one, put your life on paper. Number two, let your schedule be your boss. Number three, learn to delegate or you will stagnate. Number four, departmentalize. You say, what do you mean by that? I mean, I would have somebody would be a department head as the ministry grew, and they had people that they volunteers, maybe paid, I don't know, but they showed an interest. And so somebody was, I need help with the cleaning of the building and so on. So he got a bunch of people around him that followed his lead. Well, I wanted to help him to become the department head, whether it be the PA, whether it be the ushers, no matter what it might be. I wanted to make sure that I had someone who was in charge. Now, here's the purpose of that. The purpose of that is I could meet with them weekly. And as I met with them, then they would, I would have a folder. I would have a clean 8.5 by 11 legal size pad, sheet of paper there. I would have off to one side stapled to it their duties, because things change. At the end of the year, there may be things added to that, but that's there. So I could see it every time I open up the folder. Then I would have a blank piece of paper, and I would say to them, what can I help you with? What can I do to help you to become more efficient in what you're trying to do? What can I do? And they would bring, I've got written down here the last point of my little bitty lecture here, but I would say that they bring problems to me. And I would say, you bring me 5 solutions for every problem. Now, what did that do? That made them think. That made them dig deep. I wanted them to become the expert in that area. I don't want to solve that for them. I want them to solve it themselves. So I would say, give me 5 solutions. That's the last point. So we won't even have to give you that, will we? But 5 solutions for every problem. All right. Time management. Don't forget, the difference between a good leader and a great leader is his management of time. Number 1, put your life on paper. Number 2, let your schedule be your boss. Number 3, learn to delegate or you will stagnate. You cannot do it all. You can't do it all. And thank God for a team and a good spirit among a team. Brother Hiles had young men around him, and every ministry had a team. It was amazing to watch how he operated. Number 4, departmentalize, and then meet with those department heads weekly. All right. Help them become the experts. Number 5, carry 3 by 5 cards with you. Do not have staff meetings in the hallway. Do not answer in the hallway. They've got a question about something, write it down and say, Thursday at 10 o'clock, I'll deal with that. Or Friday at 7 o'clock, I'll deal with that in the morning, whatever it might be. So you want to carry 3 by 5 cards so that you can write down the questions and then write down who the question's from. Gives you time to think about it, pray about it, and also put it in the folder for that meeting for that week. Now, there's some things you have to answer right at the moment, yes or no. But please, the less I'm getting ahead of myself. The less decisions you make, the less mistakes you'll make. All right, I got ahead of myself. All right. So time management. Don't forget the difference between a good leader and a great leader is the management of their time. Number 1, put your life on paper, 168 hours in a week. Put your life on paper. Number 2, let your schedule be your boss. Number 3, learn to delegate or you'll stagnate. Number 4, departmentalize. Number 5, carry blank 3 by 5 cards with you. Number 6, produce a manual for every ministry. As you grow and you deal with problems, you need to come up with a manual. We had a music manual. We had a bus manual. We had a Sunday school manual. We had a Christian school manual. We had a missions manual. I had my own missions board. I don't like the idea of a BIMI or somebody that was detached from a local church. I wanted to be under the umbrella of the local church. So eventually, these folders that you have with all these things that you've learned as you grow will produce a manual. So instead of making a decision, then we say, what's the manual say? School, what's the handbook say? The college, well, what does the handbook say? You follow what I'm doing? I'm growing, and in growing, then I'm establishing manuals which have policies that make the decision. It's not personalities. Maybe some people you like, some people you don't like. If you're not careful, you'll make a decision based on the fact, I really don't particularly care for this guy. And that doesn't help him. It doesn't help you. All right. Number 1, put your life on paper. We're talking about time management. Number 2, let your schedule be your boss. Number 3, learn to delegate. Number 4, departmentalize. Number 5, carry blank 3 by 5 cards to take notes with. If you see something you want to bring up at a meeting, write it down, put it in your pocket, and then put it in the folder when you get to the office. Number 6, produce a manual for eventually you're going to produce a manual for these and develop policies from it. Oh, this will really help you. Let policies make decisions. Number 7, I knew I'd get ahead of myself. The less decisions you make, the less mistakes you'll make. Did you get that? The less decisions you make, the less mistakes you'll make. Let policies dictate. You learned. You ought to learn. I remember saying to Brother Howes one time, Brother Howes, I have a question on counseling. He said, I know what your question is. I said, you do? Yeah, you want to know what to tell people that's about issues that are not in the Bible. I said, that's exactly it. He said, write this word down. So I got my pen out. Odds, O-D-D-S, odds. I said, are we going into gambling now? He said, no. He said, listen to what I've got to tell you. He said, you counsel a particular issue, and 3 out of 4 times you find out what they decided to do did not work, end up in tragedy. The next time that issue comes up in the back of your head, you ought to say to yourself, ooh, this doesn't have a good track record. And you're not telling them what to do, but you could say to them, you know, it might not be wise to do that. And what has happened? Experience. You see, being a novice is not a lack of scripture knowledge. No, being a novice is a lack of life knowledge and experience. A novice is somebody who doesn't know the experiences of life. That's why you do wise Elmer Towns wrote a book, the top 100 Sunday schools in America. And the thing that I gleaned out of the top 10 was 8 out of the top 10 had business backgrounds. So they had a business background that allowed them, because of the experiences of life, to be able to make good decisions. I hope that made sense to you. Talk about time management. If it didn't, it's your fault, not mine. All right, time management. Put your life on paper. Number 2, let your schedule be your boss. Number 3, learn to delegate. We got to hurry. Number 4, departmentalize. Number 5, carry blank 3x5 cards to write things down on to be brought up later on at a meeting. Don't answer questions in the hallway. Sometimes you have to, but try to avoid that. You need time to think, pray about things. Number 6, produce a manual. Let this produce a manual for each ministry. Number 7, the less decisions you make, the less mistakes you make. Number 8, text. Now, here we are. You'll save yourself a lot of time rather than on the phone. Text. Number 9, memos. Put it in writing. What you want, put a memo and send it to the staff member and put that in the folder with that departmental meeting. And then number 10, I've already done this one. Ask for 5 solutions for every problem. For every problem they bring you, have them come up with 5 solutions. Help them to think and help them to become experts in their area. Time management. Hope it helped you. And please subscribe. We're at 497 as of the video of this thing. 497. We're 3 away from 500. Wow. Come on. Let's get on board here. God bless you. 4:00 every Friday, Eastern time. Ministry Moments, YouTube. Go to your favorite podcast provider. Subscribe there. And softchurchproblems.com is available also. And Passion for Souls is in its 3rd printing. And the church manual, pastor's manual, I should say, is in its 3rd printing, updated. And you can get it for $15 a book if you get it by the case. Go to BereanPublications.com. Order today before we have to go to our 4th printing. A lot of my books are out. We're reprinting them now. But God bless you. Thank you. All right, Saturday, tomorrow, soul winning. Win people to Christ. Pick them up Sunday morning. Bring them to church. Get your guests and visitors here. God bless you. Have a great weekend.